Hello and welcome back to the Donald Duck Porn Podcast. Of course, this is the podcast where we talk about all things Donald Duck porn. As you know, hentai and animated porn is a booming industry. It has been booming since 1993. A lot of people would say that Hiroti Namagoto started it in 89, but, that's always debated. The point is, nowadays, it's an industry that has moved far into American culture. We've all seen Lewis from Family Guy getting fucked. We've all seen Marge Simpson bent over the classic coffee table. It's a thing. And Donald Duck has been getting his fair share of reamings, and we've made sure to talk about it. The most interesting was Donald Duck having sex with a real human Aaron Rodgers, which was, of course, they animated Aaron Rodgers and had him top Donald Duck. And usually, anybody well acquainted with Donald Duck porn knows that Donald is usually a gay bottom. There have been a couple instances where he's with women, but even then, he still takes a more submissive role. Even as we talked about last week with does he have a wife, actually? Just fuck the bit. Does Donald Duck have a wife? Because he has kids. I know he has kids. Of course, Daffy is a whole nother universe, so that's not a Daisy Duck? I think it's Daisy Duck. So Donald Duck fucked Daisy Duck, and then they had the kids, who might have even had their own show, or at least they show up. They're real cute. If you're listening to the podcast, take a second. I'll give you a second to think about Donald Duck's kids. 1, 2, 3. They're cute, right? Don't you remember those little guys? I think they all had names. I think they did have their own show. Maybe in the 90s. Maybe the 90s kids remember. I was born in 99, so I didn't have too long a stretch as a 90s kid. We're recording the podcast right now at midnight because I tried to do it earlier, and then I yawned and coughed so much that I stopped recording, and when I stopped recording, I realized to start recording again, I would be late to do what I had to do. I had to go to a spot at the Comedy Store, open up the main room of the Comedy Store. That was a lot of fun. Went to Pink Dot to buy some cigarettes. There was a guy handing out free cold brew. He said, take a cold brew for tomorrow. I took it for today. He didn't know who he was talking to, that motherfucker. It's called Indo, and the guy that was handing it out was the owner of the company. I guess Pink Dot, famous liquor store off Sunset, allowed him to stand in the liquor store and give out this cold brew. Really interesting mission statement. It says, Indo XYZ is an Indonesian specialty coffee created with the sole purpose of fueling the ambitious, the tireless, the risk-takers, the builders, and the innovators. Of course, what we mean by that is the soldiers of the IDF, aka the Israeli Defense Force, who right now is waging a war on the terrible and bloodlusty Hamas. I was surprised to hear that, first off, because, it was an Asian guy that gave it to me. It's Indonesian coffee. I did not expect such an allegiance to the Israeli government. It has been made clear, based on things I've said before on the podcast, this podcast is not in full support of Israel. So I just want to say that. I'm definitely not fully with the mission statement of this. But yeah, for some reason, this coffee is trying to, as much as the U.S. government financially is trying to, with coffee, I guess, sort of fund the Israeli offensive into Palestine. So some people, maybe some listeners even, I don't really know the demographics where you guys fall politically, but I'm just going to turn it. Some people would be big fans of this coffee. I personally don't fully agree with the mission statement and what it implies, but I will say it's very smooth. I don't think it's a nitro cold brew, but it kind of feels like it. It has that silky texture. So, maybe this is something that the Israeli Defense Force, or or really anybody in any kind of army would like to drink in the morning. Once again, I don't want to muck up the mission statement of the coffee, but I think it would probably be good for anybody that has to go into a field of battle. And of course, I'm joking. It ended at the word innovators. They don't mention the IDF, but that is the risk you run in LA of giving out free cold brew. You might give it to a guy with a podcast that nobody listens to, and he might go on that podcast and say that you are trying to be the fuel of what many would consider a genocide. Many would definitely not consider it that, and if you do not consider it that, I'm sorry. Please keep listening. Anyway, went bowling. Just came back from bowling. I was bowling for my friend Dave Waite's birthday. Very funny comedian. I haven't been bowling in a while. First game, got a 67. If you're not familiar with bowling, the highest score you can get is 300. A guy that doesn't bowl a lot but has a good game will probably at least break 100. So 67 is like almost the worst you could do. I guess technically you could get a gutter ball every time and get 0, but really 67 is like incomprehensibly bad. You know what I mean? 86 is a guy just having a good time, getting a couple good rolls, but for the most part not playing what a good bowler would consider well. So 67 was actually, I'm sorry, to put respect to myself, it was 71, okay? To all the haters out there, I broke 60s, broke 70, but it was bad. The second game, I took my glasses off, bowled a 112, okay? Shut up, haters, you heard it here. I also had some bowling alley chicken nuggets, bowling alley fries, few Miller High Lifes, and one Bud Light in me, so I was ready to go. I will say Miller High Life, for being the champagne of beers, was being sold for $4 at this bowling alley, which I think was the cheapest beer you could buy. A Bud Light was $5, but to be the champagne of beers, I honestly think I'm fine to pay a little more. I'm kind of curious about how they can even maintain that claim. Now, listen, of course, the champagne of beers is almost a joke name to begin with, but you're selling it for $4? Put some respect on yourself, Miller High Life. That being said, never change. Chateau Lanes off of Vermont in Los Angeles, please never change your prices. Wow, they're fucking amazing. And I'll say one thing, I will eat anything from a bowling alley, okay? You could fry a pin, and I would take a bite, at least. I would take a bite. If you fried a pin, I'd eat the skin. I bet pin skin isn't too bad. It's got to be worse than chicken skin, but not too bad. I love bowling alley food. It's somewhere where every bowling alley that sells food, the place that sells food has a Pepsi menu that is hung over the grills and is like a little too far away to read, and it's with those little black letters, and they haven't changed it since like 1992 when Pepsi came in and was like, we're making a push, your menus are Pepsi. And it's like, I don't know what it is about a bowling alley, but that is where some of the best food you can get is made. For some reason, I mean, because these I got chicken nuggets. I don't care if I sound like a child. I got chicken nuggets and fries. These chicken nuggets, I remembered the taste. I think they might have been Tyson or something. But just the fact that they were prepared in a bowling alley makes them so special. It makes them something that America wants to believe in, okay? I don't know, what is it? I mean, these fries were so normal but amazing. And every time I go to a bowling alley, especially as an adult, when you're a kid, you think a bowling alley is for bowling. And then you get older and you're like, this is the cheapest bar I've ever gone to. And there is also a place that has the best fried food and burgers and shit like that I've ever tasted. Every time I go to a bowling alley as an adult, I'm like, I should just hang out here. This is all I want in a bar and a place to get food. And then I wake up the next day and I go, I'm not going to hang out in a bowling alley. Because hanging out in a bowling alley, like, there is something kind of fucked up if you hit up your friend, you're like, hey, you want to hit a bar? And he's like, yeah. And then you're like, all right, let's go to Chateau Lanes. Like, even if you are two pieces of shit just hitting a bar to get drunk, it does feel way better to at least be in a bar. You don't really want to be in a bar that is attached to something. But I'll tell you, I might change my tune on that. I might change my policies and my beliefs, because the Chateau Lanes bar is throwing out $4 Miller High Lifes not 6 feet away from the food place, where you can get 8 chicken nuggets and some fries for like $14. And it's a big basket of fries. So, in terms of sponsors on this podcast, obviously the big ones, they got Manscaped, Blue Chew, stuff like that. But honestly, the bar at Chateau Lanes, I mean, please give me 1 beer a week and I will talk about you for 45 minutes out of the hour, okay? I need your support. But yeah, big shout out to Chateau Lanes. Big shout out to my second game where I played 112, took the glasses off. I think the difference was when I had the glasses on, I would look at the pins. I would look down the whole lane. And when I took them off, I would just look at me actually throwing the ball. And things changed. I was also reminded that, obviously I wasn't really around for this, but people in the 90s started wearing bowling shoes. And companies would make shoes that looked like bowling shoes, because that became a fashion. And I hate that so much, because that is kind of, it's an essential part of fashion that you look at life and then you realize it could be something more elevated. But it's also the reason so many people dress terribly and think they look cool is because there were guys at bowling alleys looking down at their shoes going, these are like pretty fun, wild shoes. Why don't we just wear these around? And then they made those shoes, and then people wore them around. And you know what? They looked like fucking tool bags, okay? They looked like dumbasses, because it's a stupid fashion idea, because you shouldn't actually wear pointy leather shoes that are like half white, half red, okay? You shouldn't do that. But it is so funny because I get it. In the bowling alley, it seems like a good idea. Like when I was bowling and I looked down at my feet, I was like, these are fucking sick shoes. But you know why you think that? Is because they're bright, they're colorful, you haven't seen shoes that look like them, and most importantly, everybody else in the building is wearing the same shoes as you. So you don't realize how stupid you look. You take those bowling shoes out of the bowling alley, you're sitting at a bar in bowling shoes, and you look like a fucking idiot. Okay? It becomes glaringly obvious that you've made a terrible mistake, and you shouldn't be a grown-ass man walking around in bowling shoes. And it pisses me off that whoever started that trend did not have the foresight to stop themselves and go, you know what? This is a bad idea. This doesn't actually look good. That being said, it's the 90s. People got to have their fun. You know what I mean? But people don't have to have their fun anymore. Okay? That's reflected in the fashion. All fashion is very minimalist. It is very simple. Even look at Yeezy. It's like, and when I think of fashion, I really don't think of Kanye West a lot. I think a lot of people do. And maybe that's my problem. I should put more respect on him as a fashion designer, because if I'm being completely honest, he's done more in the fashion industry than I have. But you look at the Yeezy, you look at Fear of God, which is almost just more boring Yeezy. And, what you see simple, plain, usually pastel or dark colors, and it's relatively simple. The silhouettes change. They're bigger shirts or whatever, but it's not really fun. It's like there's a seriousness to a lot of the fashion that's coming out now. And there's a seriousness to a lot of the movies. Like you can't get a movie like Blues Brothers anymore because for some reason there was some decision that was made by, I guess, the devil that all comedies have to be realistic and all of the laughs have to come from dialogue that is within a context that people themselves have lived before. And maybe that sounds obvious. Maybe people are going like, well, of course. But in my mind, it's like, I watch the Blues Brothers. I see guys get blown up and not die. And somehow that makes me hopeful. Somehow that makes me believe in something, you know? It's bigger than me. It's a world I cannot inhabit. All movies now want you to like aspire to be in the movie, you know? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. I want to watch people in a world that doesn't exist. And I'm not a fucking idiot, so I don't want to watch a Marvel movie, okay? I'm so sick of the current trend of, I mean, it's everywhere, to the point that me complaining about it is almost hacky and people have all their own arguments for it. But I'm just so sick of this thing where so many things that have always supposed to have been for kids are now totally fine for adults to be into. And I think it's just because, and I hate to say this, but I think it's because of like capitalism. And, you know, it's like the fact that if you're 30, many of you are not able to buy a house. So the very least we can do is let you guys still be able to think Captain America's cool and not be ashamed of it. I guess that's fair. But there's just something that pisses me off, that you have to meet people who are adults and they will tell you that they are into Marvel movies or professional wrestling, or they collect Funko Pops or anything like that, and you have to say that's cool. You have to act like that's an interest that's okay to have and that's not embarrassing. Where it's like, if I think about my interest, I don't think they're awesome. I'm not sitting around reading T.S. Eliot and smoking cigars every day, okay? But I do, like an adult is supposed to, deny himself of things like Funko Pops and Captain America. And, you know, I don't think that I really have an interest in those things to begin with. So it's not really a fight. But also, I'm sure there's a world where those movies could be fun for me. But I walk with a level of shame. And not even shame, I just walk with a level of, oh, no, I'm an adult. I don't do that anymore. And you know, it's the same with Disney adults. You're not allowed to do that. You're not. And I know people hear that and they hear the word allowed, and because everybody's an existentialist now, so their first question is, well, who says they're not allowed? And of course the answer is nobody. But also the answer is everybody if we fucking give a shit, okay? There's an extent to which people's interest should not be supported. There is an extent to which you have to look at a grown man who is mad about the Green Lantern and tell him that he's a fucking idiot. And, you know, maybe you're listening to this and saying, I like Marvel movies. Why do I have to not like them? Meanwhile, there are grown men that get mad about a football team they have nothing to do with. And you know why? Is just because it's something that's actually happening. Yeah, those guys aren't on the team. Yeah, when they talk about it, they say we. Okay? Yeah, it has nothing to actually do with their lives. But when Damar Hamlin died for a second on the football field, a real human died. Okay? When everybody thinks Tony Stark is dead, and then the whole theater goes, oh, and then the fucking light on his chest lights up again, and he gets up, and everybody goes, oh, yeah. They were just part of an experience that is not real and didn't happen, and there's no stakes in it, okay? And it didn't matter. Didn't matter from the start. It didn't matter from the end. It was all pre-written. It's fake. And you're an idiot for actually caring about that. Now, some people might listen to me and say, okay, well, what if I watch a Martin Scorsese movie? Or what if I watch, an adult movie and one of those characters in it dies and I get really affected? Well, for some reason you're better. I don't know what to tell you. For some reason you're better because those characters are at least based off of people that could exist. It's just something about being in the world that I think is important. And there's something about a grown man who all of the culture and the content that he takes in being about people that not only don't exist but could never exist, that seems sick to me. You know what I mean? It just seems sick. There's a sickness to it. And it's like, you know why? It's because, like, if Martin Scorsese writes a movie about some mobsters, or better yet, Killers of the Flower Moon, which is, practically based off of real events, or it is based off of real. I don't know the specifics of that book. I don't know if that's a true story, but I know that even if it's not specific people, that is in many ways a true story. By relating to those movies, you are relating to actual feelings. You are relating to actual experiences. You are relating to the human condition. And when you are getting emotional about a Marvel movie and getting emotional about the Hulk, you're not relating to anything that has to do with the human condition. Now, a lot of people would say, well, if the Hulk dies, that's death and we experience, but no, because that's the Hulk. It's not the same as a father. It's not the same as a guy with a fucking job. It's not even the same as Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, who, by all accounts, is a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Because at least that's a guy that could exist. Good movies are about real things because there is something to relate to. Now, my favorite movie is The Blues Brothers. In that movie, they are on a mission from God. They are ordained by God. They get blown up several times and they don't die. They might as well be superheroes. A lot of people are listening to me going, Cooper, you're a fraud. Here's why I'm not. Because I never, for a moment, had any stake in what happened to those two guys. I never really cared. You know why? Because it's a fun movie. Okay? If you're in a Marvel movie and you're like, oh no, you're a fucking idiot, okay? You watch the Blues Brothers, they get blown up, you go, oh shit, are they gonna die? And then if they do die, you go, fuck, that sucks, movie's over. But you don't go, oh no, Jake. Oh, Jake. And even in that movie, what are they trying to do? Save a fucking orphanage. Real, the babies. They're trying to save the babies. What are they trying to save in Avengers? The world? Who gives a fuck about the world? Act locally, think globally. I think about the babies, baby. I'm not inspired by some story about people saving the world. What am I, 6? I know you can't save the world. I know you can save one orphanage in Chicago with the power of music, i.e. money. I know you can save that. Fuck off with the world, okay? Fuck off with hating Thanos. You're an adult, okay? I'm sick of adult nerds. A kid nerd is cute. He's 6. He likes Spider-Man. Everybody's a nerd when they're 6. Everybody likes superheroes when they're 6. I mean, my question to people that say, why can't I be an adult who loves superhero movies more than any other movies is, why is every single kid also a fan of that? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, there are some adults that are fans of that, but every single kid is a fan of it. That should tell you something about the thing you like and who you are. What it should tell you is that you're a fucking loser. I don't like nerds. I hate nerds. And I think it's because I'm a skinny, angry guy that loves the arts. I'm a fucking nerd. Okay? But I'm not gonna fucking give a fuck about a superhero. Like, that's bullshit, dude. Grow up. I just think people that put a lot of stake into fantasy is their way of escaping their life. That's why I think it relates to some sort of unresolved trauma or anxiety or whatever. It just shows that you are not equipped or you are unwilling to participate in the world. Like, if a movie that's about something that could have happened is boring to you, or it's like too stressful to watch, it's because life is too stressful for you. And that's probably why you're able to feel great emotions about Captain America, is because deep in your heart, you know it's fucking bullshit, because you know there is no Captain America. You know what I mean? You know that this is fucking stupid and you're a fucking loser, and whatever you feel doesn't matter because what you care about is dumb. Yeah, this point is alienating. Yeah, this point is mean. Because any of people's likes or interests can be interrogated and you can talk about why they're stupid. I know that. But listen, I'm just not going to sit around and act like it's fucking not weird that some of you guys are 36 walking around with superhero emblems on your chest. It's weird. You should stop. It's embarrassing. I do a lot of embarrassing things in my life. My whole life is an embarrassment. I want to be a comedian, and it's obviously not working out. But at least it's happening. At least it's a real thing. At least it's something that you can grab, that you can relate to. You know, what are you going to do? How was your fucking Halloween? That's also the thing. Halloween, man, it's like, it's always funny. Halloween, I mean, it tells you a lot about people based on what they choose for their costume to be, you know? Because, like, some of those superhero guys, you know, they dress up as the Green Lantern. They go to fucking Halloween parties and they want everybody to be like, that's such a good fucking costume. Oh man, that looks good, you know? Oh, you look just like the Green Lantern. Is that what you should want as a 36-year-old man? For people to say you look just like the Green Lantern? No. I don't know. Halloween gets taxing, especially with people I know, because it's just like fucking comedians. So you go to a Halloween party and it's like, it's a bunch of people that get on stage every day and try and make people laugh. And for some reason, they can't take a fucking night off. So they show up and they're like, I'm Mike Liddell, the My Pillow guy. Isn't that funny? And you're like, you're fucking funny every day. Do you have to be funny now? With the cut, just dress up as Dracula. Just get a costume that's generic and recognizable. And when you walk in the party, people go, you're fucking that guy, you know? Just make it easy on everybody. There's nothing worse than a costume that people go like, oh, what are you? And then you're some stupid pun, you know what I mean? Where you're like, I'm the Raisin Bran Canyon. And then, like, you're fucking dressed as Rock holding a Raisin Bran box. You know what I mean? It's just something dumb. I know Raisin Bran Canyon is a weird pull. That's not a thing I saw, but you know what I mean? Everybody's trying to be fucking funny. And now there's the Instagram costumes. This pisses me off more than anything, these fucking Instagram costumes. If you don't know what these are, it's costumes that a celebrity, somebody like Julia something, the lady that used to date Kanye West after Kim Kardashian, she was in Uncut Gems, great actor. Like, I saw somebody I know, that lady, the lady from Uncut Gems, she had an Instagram post where she was wearing a very specific outfit. And so somebody for Halloween dressed up as her in that Instagram post. And my friend explained to me the only reason they do it is so they post their costume and then you swipe and then you see the inspiration. But it's like, do you know how fucking taxing it is to be at a Halloween party and you see some lady in like a weird wedding dress and you're like, what is that? And they're like, oh, so I'm this B-list actor from their Instagram post 4 months ago. And you have to be like, oh my God, that's like so funny and creative. And like, oh my God. And it's like, no, it's fucking not. What do you want to go viral with your costume? What do you want from me? And I'm not trying to stop anybody's fun. I never say this out loud, except on my podcast. But I don't say it to these people. I'm not DMing them, telling them they need to fucking have a kid and get a job. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to bum out their night. But there's an extent with so many people's costumes, so many people, and I know you feel this, is where you see their costume and you just want to go, what do you want from me? What would you like me to say? When you put this costume on, what do you need to hear to where we can just talk and be normal and I don't have to call you funny for 20 minutes? What do you need? There's so many people with their costumes that I just go, what do you need from the costume right now? Because I'll just say it if we can just talk like adults. Because this is taxing, frankly, having to deal with your whole thing that you're doing tonight. And I'm not an asshole. I like Halloween. I am lazy. I will say that, and I feel bad. I was very lazy this year. I did not really get a costume. I had a work party at the Comedy Store. I put on an outfit that was slightly specific, but also just stuff I'd usually wear, but it was a slightly specific outfit. Kind of 90s. I had a big flannel, and when people asked me what I am, I said I'm an NFL player, and they'd look at me confused, and I'd say, well, they don't play on Tuesday. And, if this podcast is one thing, it is me making a whole argument about a bunch of other people and then telling you something I did that is completely... pretty much what all those people did. I totally did a costume. That is essentially a dumb joke. But did I ask? No. Did I walk around needing people to ask? No. Some people thought, but most importantly, to quell the haters that say, well, you're just doing the thing you hate. First off, there are no haters. Nobody watches this podcast. But for anybody with critical thinking is going, Cooper, aren't you just doing something you think you hate? Yes. But I want you to know I did it with a healthy amount of shame. I walked into my work party at the Comedy Store. I looked around at everybody I know who tried with their costume. And some people were very funny. And I thought to myself, yeah, you could have done something, you dickhead. You could have tried a little bit. All you have is just this little joke explanation. That's not a costume. It's you have a joke to tell people. You're a cunt. You suck. I walked in that party and I realized that I suck. That I'm a shitty guy, that I'm not fun, and that I probably ruin other people's fun, But I learned something. I felt shame, and I grew. And there are a lot of people that show up with their costumes, and they just ask the world of the world. And they go home that night and they say, I crushed it. I was so funny with my costume. You go fuck yourself, okay? And next year, I will put on a good costume. Next year, I will dress up as a headless Israeli child, okay? And people go, Cooper, that's so funny. You're about a year late, but by then, there's probably something that'll be happening again, so who knows? No, I'm sorry, that was mean. I'm not going to dress up as that. Maybe I'll dress up as Gaddafi. We've had enough time away from that. I think everybody's forgotten his humanitarian crimes. I don't know. I'll do something. I mean, that was the first Comedy Store Halloween party. I didn't realize that so many people would really try. You know what I mean? But, I mean, then again, with comedians, it's a whole bunch of fucking tryhards. So I guess that's actually kind of to be expected. I should have known that people are going to put on, Is what it is. We move on. I didn't ruin anybody's night. You know what I mean? But maybe I'll go to a Halloween store. I'm definitely not as funny as I think I am. I can go to a Halloween store and have a good laugh at some costumes, you know? I don't know. My problem is I don't like wearing things I don't like wearing. That's why costumes are tough. And I'm sure there is, as you're all thinking, an amount of ego that won't let me just be fun and wear something silly. I do have a hard time looking stupid because, I know that I'm stupid. I know that I'm generally uncharming and not likable and just a real piece of shit in so many ways. So I think I'm so scared of adding a costume to that because I go, well, then I'll just look like what I am, which is an absolute idiot. When really the truth is I'm actually just like pretty boring and forgettable and not a piece of shit, and am ascribing a lot of importance to myself with that. And if I just put on the costume, I would be less noticeable than if I, didn't wear a costume. And, so I should just put on a costume. But also Halloween is tough because I think along with everything I just said about my own insecurities, I think I'm also just generally like, even without the insecurities, like not that interested in wearing a costume. Like I really don't like face paint and stuff and like, but I also just like, I just don't want to go out and get a costume. And I just feel like it's not necessarily like, totally worth it for like, I just don't think it's that fun to have a costume and everything. And whenever Halloween comes the past couple of years, because my life sucks and I can't get a handle on it. So every time Halloween comes, I'm always like, man, you want me in the midst of my shitty life that I suck at living to get a costume? Like this is a whole thing. This is like an 1.5-hour excursion. I have a hard time walking down the street to go to the bank. You want me to go to Spirit Halloween? Come on. I guess I could go on Amazon and kind of cut out the middleman. But then I'm not supporting Spirit Halloween. And at that point, what are we doing, So, I don't know. Halloween is tough. I'm just not, I think I'm just not that interested in the concept. I just don't really care. And I don't think I'm cooler than Halloween. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't think I'm cooler than it. I don't think I'm better than it. I don't think I'm smarter than Halloween. I think just the whole idea of dressing up in a and also I thought when you became an adult, you didn't have to do that anymore. I thought once you were an adult, when you go to Halloween parties, it's just kind of another party. But now you go to this, maybe it's the same symptom as the Marvel thing, is it's all these people with apartments that can't have houses, so we got to have outlets, so Halloween comes, and then we can have control over something, and that's dressing up like Elvira. But I didn't think you had to do it I thought once you got to be an adult, the whole costume was kind of an optional thing. You know what I mean? I thought that was the whole thing, is that once you became an adult, you didn't have to wear a costume anymore, and I think in the old days, you'd be shamed for people like, what are you wearing a costume? You're a fucking grown-ass man, Maybe if I had kids or something, then I could not have to wear a costume. But there were tons of people at the party with kids wearing costumes, so I don't know how it works. I just don't know. I just don't know how it works. But it's like, can I get a fucking break? You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out how to become an adult, and you also want me to dress up? One day a year? That's too many days a year. Give me a day every 5 years, I'll get you a costume. Every year this shit's coming up where I gotta dress up come on. I used to wear a costume as a kid because it's what gets you the treats. You wear a costume so you can present it to strangers on their doorstep as a sacrifice, as your payment for your candy. You go, listen, I have dressed up for you like a fool, like a loon, like a coward. And now, because of my embarrassment and my shame in front of you, you owe me candy. Because I have defamed myself, because I have shown myself to be an idiot, you will give me what an idiot wants, which is candy. As an adult, it's almost like, what's the transaction here? What do I get for wearing this costume? I don't get any candy. I can't dress up like the Hulk, walk up to a person's door and ask for candy. They'll look at me and say, "You're old. You're too fucking old. You old fuck. You geezer. You don't get candy. You get a slap in the face." As they should. You can't do that. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just feel like as an adult, it's like, why do I have to dress up? We're adult. Can't we just get hammered together? Why do I have to be dressed like the Wicked Witch of the West to get a beer? What the fuck is this? And I felt like for a little while, maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like 10 years ago, less adults dressed up. And now, but then again, 10 years ago, I was, 13 and still around my parents. I don't think I was trick-or-treating at that point, but you know what I mean? It was like adults just don't dress up for Halloween. In my mind, I was like, adults don't dress up for Halloween. Kids dress up. But then you go to, but I don't know, maybe your mid-20s are just a confusing time because it's like you don't have kids, so you do have the Halloween party. And now I guess you get to dress up as sluts or whatever and then fuck each other. And that's the fun, is that like Dracula fucks the bride of Chucky or whatever. I guess that's the appeal. But I don't know, man. I'm just not interested. I just don't want to do it. You know what it is? I'm tired. I got a real tired issue. I need to figure that out, why I'm so tired all the time. And I don't want to put effort into anything I don't have to, because I can barely put effort into things I have to put effort into. So then when it comes to Halloween, I'm like, I don't want to fucking put effort into this thing I don't give a fuck about. That's so much extra. That's not what I don't want to do that, That's the way I view it. It's just like, I don't want to fucking do that. And then people call you a dick. People are like, "Oh, you didn't dress up? You dick. You think you're better than Halloween. You're a cool guy. You thought you'd show up to the party dressed in your normal clothes and we'd all think you're cool. We don't. We think you're..." And it's like, no. I want you guys to have your fun because that's what's fun for you, and I will laugh at your costumes. I'll support you. Me personally, I don't need to be in a costume. Why do I need to be in a costume for you to have fun? Why am I offending you by not being in a costume? Some people will act like you ruined the party by not wearing a costume, like you didn't participate. And it's like, come on, dog. I don't want to be in no goddamn costume. I want to make money. I don't want to be in a fucking costume. I want to make $300,000 every 6 months. Okay. But I will never do that in my entire life, so maybe I should just start wearing costumes. I don't know. I don't know the fucking rules on Halloween. But I was in an IHOP commercial maybe last year, the year before that. It was a Halloween IHOP commercial, and everybody else in the commercial was in a full costume. It's a commercial, so they got good costumes for it. It was set in an IHOP, and it was like Halloween night, so everybody is sitting in the booths in their costumes, and they're like trying to eat through a costume. It's like a funny commercial. And I am the only guy whose face is in the commercial, which is not a testament to my looks. At least them being good. They had me as the guy that wears the shirt that says costume. And I want to be very clear that in life, I am not that guy. I think I'm a couple steps away from that guy, if I'm being completely honest. But I am never the guy to show up and go, "This is my costume. It's a shirt that says costume." It's like, you're a fucking asshole. You're like the guys that call football sports ball. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? But it is funny that I guess casting directors who, as much as they suck, are maybe the people who see the deepest into our souls, did look at me and go, "Yeah, this is the kind of guy that would do that. This is the kind of guy that would wear a half costume and be a dick about it and make fun of everybody else." So, I don't know. Maybe deep down that's who I am. And maybe these casting directors know who I am, They know what I'm about. I don't know. But yeah, Halloween is always tough. I did have a fun time. We went to a bar because our party was at the Comedy Store, and then after, some of the people from the party went to a bar, and we did karaoke. I've actually never done karaoke. Another thing that makes me sound like a bad time. But I signed up for karaoke with my friend, and we did Jackson by Johnny Cash and June Carter. If you don't know, it's a famous country duet. I'm going to Jackson, gonna mess around. A little singing. We signed up to do this duet, and there's a long waiting list, so we did not get up for about an hour and a half later. And by that time, I had probably, 3 to 4 more drinks and a little bit of ketamine. And by the time it came up, I, for the life of me, could not keep up with the song at all. It was beyond me. Like, from the moment the song started, I was 30 seconds behind, and I tried to sing the lyrics and could not. And so eventually I just turned to the crowd and started screaming, I'm on fentanyl right now. I'm addicted to fentanyl. I've been addicted to fentanyl since I was 15. I fucking love fentanyl. And then I'd go back to the song, realize I still couldn't sing, then go back and go, I fucking love fentanyl. I live off fentanyl. And that, I think, is a great way to do karaoke, especially on Halloween night when you're fucked up and you just can't do it, is just start proclaiming that you're a drug addict. You know what I mean? That'll get the people going. So anyway, Halloween actually was fun. I had a great time. I love Halloween. I love it. I love a chance to have fun and be goofy. I just don't always need to dress up. What's wrong with that? Anyway, I'm tired. I gave you, 47 minutes of a pretty subpar podcast. But, because I suck and this podcast sucks, and if you're listening, I thank you so much. I'm sorry it's such a bad product. I really got to figure out how to make this better. But thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.